Good evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at this evening's headlines. Of course, all eyes are on the COP26, which is a meeting of world leaders to decide how quickly we can stop or reverse the effects of climate change that now threatens the very survival of the human race. India committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2070. Now, this is a really important sort of commitment made by India for two reasons. Now, first of all, the COP26 had actually set itself, you'll remember from the UN report that we talked about earlier, it set itself a target of net zero emissions from almost all countries by 2050. India is missing that target by 20 years for 2070. But it is also the first time India is making that commitment at all. Now, this is important because India is the fourth largest emitter of carbon in the world. After China, the US, the European Union, then comes India. Now, we have to remember here there's an important distinction. We are not high target emitters per capita, per citizen. We're actually very, very low. But as a country on a whole, we're the fourth in the world. Now, the country had up until now, India, had refused to commit to a net zero emissions target. We have done so right now. So it is something that is being applauded. So there are 2 points of views right now across the world. One says, very good, India has made a commitment. The other one says that 2070 is too late. But we have made a commitment nevertheless. Net zero basically means that the amount of greenhouse gases that you're releasing into the atmosphere, you're also sucking out of the atmosphere by basically planting more trees and securing your forests. It also means that you make no future investments in coal or fossil fuels and you green several industries. Remember, more than 50% of the electricity used in India right now is coal generated electricity. Now, in addition, the country's emissions intensity will be reduced by at least 45% by 2030 from the 2005 levels. Now, the UN Climate Change Conference, which is going on right now in Glasgow, Scotland, the conference will go on until the 12th of November. More than 100 leaders have promised to end or reverse deforestation at that same conference. The pledge includes £14 billion in public and private funds. The countries that have signed this pledge include Canada, Brazil, Russia, China, Indonesia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the US and UK that cover 85% of the world's forest. And in September, 9 philanthropic organizations pledged $5 billion over the next 10 years to support the monitoring and the conservation of land and water and sea. Outside of that conference, teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg slammed the world leaders for only what she called pretending to care about the climate crisis. She said, and I quote when she was speaking to protesters, "This COP26 so far is just like previous COPs. It has led us nowhere. Inside COP, there are politicians and people in power pretending to take our future seriously. The change is not going to come from inside. This is not leadership," end quote. Turning our sights back home, former Home Minister of the state of Maharashtra has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case. This after questioning him yesterday for 12 hours. Deshmukh had earlier skipped at least 5 summons he had received from the Enforcement Directorate and also moved Bombay High Court to quash those summons. The Enforcement Directorate has alleged that Deshmukh, while he was Home Minister, received illegal gratification of approximately 4.7 crore rupees in cash from various orchestra bar owners through Sachin Baze, the police officer in Mumbai who has now been placed under arrest. The probe comes after the former police commissioner Amrinder Singh alleged that Deshmukh had directed Baze to collect money from restaurants and bar owners. In the meantime, Amrinder Singh himself is missing. Also, according to NDTV, the Income Tax Department has seized assets worth 1,000 crore rupees allegedly linked to Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. Last month, tax searches were conducted at the houses and the firms owned by Mr. Pawar's sisters. Responding to the searches, Ajit Pawar said, "We pay taxes every year since I'm also the finance minister. I'm aware of the fiscal discipline. All entities linked to me have paid taxes," end quote. Former Union Minister Sharad Pawar hit out at the BJP over searches linked to his nephew, calling these misuse of power. In September this year, you'll remember Axis Bank launched a new campaign called Come As You Are, allowing members of the LGBTQI plus community and employees more ease in banking. It effectively said that same-sex couples can open bank accounts, joint bank accounts together, which banks up till now have not allowed. However, one same-sex couple has taken to Twitter, sharing an unpleasant experience in an attempt to avail this benefit. One, Anisha Sharma, said she went to open an account with her partner, but the employees were not aware of the ad campaign or this new bank account. The manager then told them that they'll only be able to open a current account as business partners and nothing more. They were also asked to prove that they were same-sex partners, which they found insulting and embarrassing. A press release on Axis Bank website clearly states that customers can open joint savings accounts and term deposit accounts with their same-sex partners. Harish Iyer, the head of diversity inclusion at Axis Bank, tweeted that he takes complete responsibility for this and that he is, in fact, at this point, embarking on this journey, and they will get some things wrong, but they will get better with every experience, end quote. Former Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has resigned from the Congress. He's also revealed the name of his new party will be called Punjab Lok Congress. In a letter to the Congress President Sonia Gandhi, Singh said, and I quote, "Despite my profound reservations over the unanimous advice of almost all MPs in Punjab, you chose to appoint the Pakistan deep state acolyte Navjot Singh Sidhu, who publicly hugged the Pakistani Army General and Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan as the president of the Punjab Congress Committee," end quote. Election officials on Tuesday started counting votes in the by-polls that were held in 3 Lok Sabha and 29 assembly constituencies spread across 13 states and the Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Voting in these seats were held on the 30th of October. In West Bengal constituencies, Trinamool Congress won both of the 2 seats that were up for grabs. In Assam, the BJP won the one seat that was up for grabs. The Congress won the Dariabad Assembly seat in Rajasthan. And the Dadra Nagar Haveli Lok Sabha seat was won by the Shiv Sena, which is the first seat the Shiv Sena has ever won outside of the state of Maharashtra. The Delhi Commission for Women has sent a notice to the Delhi police asking them to take action against obscene messages posted on social media targeting Indian cricket team Virat Kohli's family, specifically his 9-month-old daughter. The officials at the DCW have taken suo motu cognizance of media reports published which targeted Kohli's daughter and issued rape threats against her. The notice says that such messages circulated online after India lost the T20 World Cup match against Pakistan and, of course, after Kohli stood up in defense and spoke out against the trolling of his teammate Mohammad Shami. Good news in India's COVID numbers. India reported 10,423 new COVID cases. Kerala reported 6,444 new COVID cases. These are good numbers. Bad news, though, on the petrol front, and that is in our business section. Petrol prices were hiked for the 7th straight day, the 20th time in the last 1 month, by 35 paise. Now in Mumbai, petrol will cost you 115 rupees and 85 paise, and diesel is at 106 rupees. In Delhi, petrol costs 110 and diesel costs 98 rupees. According to the Centre for Monitoring Indian Economy, Indian unemployment rate has spiked in the month of October, and it's now at 7.75%. It was 6.8% a month ago. Urban joblessness has fallen, which is a good thing, but in rural India, the unemployment has risen to a 4-month high of 7.9%. Remember, rural India, the employment is seasonal because it moves with the cropping patterns of rural India. Though it's not all bad, CMIE's MD and CEO Mahesh Vyas has said India is at the cusp of a very important festive season. Expectations are that in the coming months, it could boost employment in general, retail trade in particular. Given the large size of the retail trade industry, an increase in employment in this would be expected to have a significant impact on overall employment. So it's likely that because of the festive season, that the month of November might seem a lot better. News coming in from across the world right now. According to the Washington Post, 2 suicide blasts and gunfire killed over 20 people and injured several others in a military hospital in Afghanistan's Kabul. The attack has no one has taken responsibility for the attack just yet. Last month, the Islamic State suicide bomber attacked a crowded mosque. And the fact that this attack was at a military hospital seems all the more sinister. A 22-story apartment building under construction collapsed in Nigeria's Lagos, killing at least 10 people and leaving dozens others missing, according to the BBC. Over 100 people were inside the building when it suddenly crumbled into a pile of debris. People have accused the authorities for not starting rescue efforts soon enough. According to some reports, the building was several floors higher than it originally needed to be. And a piece of good news before we leave you for today, and this piece of good news comes in from the city of Bengaluru, or Bangalore, some of us still call it. The city reported 0 COVID deaths on Monday for the first time in the past 70 days. Karnataka has reported 188 fresh COVID cases, out of which 95 were from Bengaluru, but no COVID deaths at all, and that's good news for the city of Bengaluru. I'm going to leave you there with that information. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, we have interesting conversations uploaded on our YouTube page. One has to do with the price of fuel and where the price of fuel is going. And the other one, we're speaking to a representative of Axis Bank on whether or not they were in fact serious about bringing in new changes for the LGBTQI community after that one experience that has now been talked about on Twitter. Do take a look at those conversations as well. Thanks for watching. Good night.